Good afternoon. Good Saturday to our 94.7 FM listening audience. We are so glad to have you back in the chat room. I'm Dr. the Doctor in the chat room this beautiful, beautiful day. So glad to have my illustrious co-host, Dr. Nicole West. How are you, ma'am?
I am great today. How are you feeling?
Doing well. Thank you.
Yeah. I always love how you describe me in the beginning, right? Today I'm illustrious and I always get the most beautiful descriptions. So I appreciate that.
Well, they are very genuine, very, very much so. Um, I want to just say to our audience that we hope you guys are doing well. We hope that you are taking care of yourselves, as there are plenty of reasons, not just the backside of COVID, but there are plenty of reasons for us to make sure that we are caring for ourselves properly. I feel like mentally, in particular, a lot of people are really, really struggling.
Hmm.
And so yeah, take care of yourselves, whatever that looks like for you.
Yeah,
Do what
definitely.
you need to do to be healthy.
Yeah. Speaking of which, how are you doing with the allergies? Because it has been quite the beginning of the year for people that suffer with allergies.
So I did have a little, I think we had a show during that time when I was just almost lost my voice and all of
Hmm.
that, but I'm doing a lot better because I'm really sticking close to my mask. I
Yeah.
just am that person that believes um I that we learned a lot during COVID. And one of
Uh-huh.
the things that I know I learned was all of the suffrage from
Yeah.
allergies that I've had over the years. I didn't have it as much when I was protecting myself with
Yeah.
yeah.
That's true. I mean, I was just standing outside at church the other day, and I just happened to be standing out there enjoying the sun, and I just looked up and there was all kinds of stuff flying around. And I'm like,
Yeah,
I don't suffer from allergies, thank goodness, but Jackson does and you do. And so that was the first time that I had looked around and literally saw things floating around in the air.
mhm,
And I said, wow,
mhm,
this is what people are, ingesting, and this is what's making people feel
absolutely.
sick.
Even
And
your
yeah,
eyes,
yeah.
but for breathing it in your mouth and your nose and those
Hmm.
mucous membranes and your eyes are mucus membrane as well. So yeah, we
Yeah.
just have to be careful. But yeah, everybody just be well, as they say in
Hmm.
Walgreens, be well.
Yeah,
You know?
for sure.
We've been talking about relationships a lot, and
Hmm.
you and I um were recently talking about a clip that we saw on social media
Hmm.
where the lawyer Ebony K. Williams,
Hmm.
she's a lawyer and a television host,
Yeah.
and she co-hosts the late night talk show, State of the Culture on Revolt TV. And she was in doing an interview with Ayana Van Zant.
Hmm.
Is that right?
Yep.
Oh,
Hmm.
and it was about basically would she date a bus driver? Would she date this whole idea of, people that go into get the 4 year and above degrees,
Hmm.
would they date blue collar workers?
Hmm.
I want to share that clip first, and then I want us to kind of talk about, just share some thoughts around that. Here's the clip.
Would you date a bus driver? You. Would you date a
If he
bus
owns
driver?
the bus, if he owns
No.
it, if he owns the bus,
See,
he
that's a
owns it.
problem. That's a problem. That's a problem.
Okay.
Because the standards and requisites, and I'm not talking about him laying on his sofa playing video games all day. I'm not talking about
Mm-hmm.
that. But the standards and the criteria that we use to measure men is off for who
Mm,
we are as women and who they are in this society. I would date a bus driver
mm,
if he loved driving the bus, if he was a man of
mm-hmm.
integrity, if he was good to his mama, if he treated me well, I would date a bus driver But we think that it's another human being's responsibility to give us what we need instead of us building together. I can build with a bus driver. I'd have my little stash over on the side in my prenup, but I could build with a bus driver. So I think some of the criteria that we look for in the reality of today keeps us unhappy, keeps us angry, keeps us imbalance. And then when the men show up, we want to beat them up because they're not living up to our standards and criteria. And it's not working, beloved. It's just not working. So it's not that it's bad or wrong, it's obsolete. It's obsolete. We have to come up with a new way of being. I don't believe in carrying a man. A man has to do for himself.
That is just a little clip of that interview. I thought some really, really interesting points came out in just that minute and a half
Yeah, for
interview.
sure.
The very first thing she said was the reason she would date a bus driver was that if he loved driving the bus, loved his job, that makes me think about what I say to my children and to other young people that come to me for advice about career or what they're planning to do. And I always ask them, I always go back to, because most of the ones that are talking to me are in an age bracket that have seen the Sister Act movie.
Ah, yes.
And when Whoopi says, you know, if you go to bed thinking about singing, wake up thinking about singing, and you go all day thinking about singing, and you want it, you know, that means that if you be a singer, you become a singer, you're going to love what you're doing, right? So I always give the advice, do what you love. Because that's what's really going, and then you'll manage the money to navigate through once, because you're waking up every day doing what you love.
Happy.
I, on the other hand, when I came out of school, high school, and was going into college, I was looking for what careers you know, I might be able to, you know, make a little money, or how can I frame my college degrees in a way, because like they're kind of all over the place. Mine are. They make it kind of where I can do different things, multiple things. But it was all around what my income would look like. And so I have found myself many, many times in life, you know, starting dreading on Sunday night.
Yes.
Okay. And living for Friday.
Yep. The same. That was one of the things that stuck out for me too, was her saying, if he loves what he's doing, right? Because I think when you love what you do, you come home and, you know, you might be much more peaceful, you know, at home than you are when you can't stand your job, and you're exhausted when you come home, and then you don't have time for nobody when you come home, because, you know, you just been annoyed all day because you don't like what you do. So thinking about a man or a woman in the other perspective that comes home and they're like, you know, that I had a great day, and not that every day is going to be roses and
that's right.
But you know, when you love what you do,
it still doesn't feel like a chore, and it doesn't drain you when there is a challenging day.
Right. Yeah. And so, you know, the other thing that stood out for me was she mentioned specifically, this man who drives this bus is a man of integrity. He's good to his mama. He treats me well.
Part was right too.
Yes.
Because,
I think
you got mama's boys who none of us really want to deal with. Those are the ones I'm talking about that, you know, got the mamas all in their business and their, you know what I'm saying, and all that kind of stuff. And got the ones that have a good, healthy relationship. Same way I feel about girls and their dads, right?
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
have a good, healthy, close relationship, but their dads aren't controlling their lives. Moms aren't controlling the lives of their sons. They're mama's boys, they're daddy's girls, but in the healthiest way.
Right.
And when I see a guy that is good to his mom
Yeah. Yeah.
and good to his daughter,
Mm-hmm.
that's so attractive to me.
Yep.
I don't
Yep.
care what his job is.
Yeah. And I think we need to pay attention to that as women when we meet a man who either treats his mom a certain way or treats the mother of his children a certain way, or
Ooh.
that is a huge red flag if they're not treating these women with respect. And sometimes we kind of ignore that, and I think that was, that was the point of Ayanla bringing that up, like treats his mama good, treats me well. But I also now will pay attention to how he has treated the other women in his life, because that says a lot to me too.
So that's a question that I'll ask a guy from time to time. If I were to ask your ex about you, what would she say?
Right. Yeah. And the answer will tell you a whole lot if he's honest.
If he's honest. If they
Right.
start to stutter a little bit, I go, this is probably just end, you know. But if they go, if they start to process the question and say, this is a really good question, and I've never been asked this question before, I think she would probably say. And then if they tell me some of the pros and cons of what she may say,
yeah,
then I can roll with it.
that feels pretty genuine. Yeah. Yeah.
I thought it was interesting too that she said, and I think this is a very important point. I might have me a little stash on the side. So I understood that, because if he's not, and let me be clear here, just because somebody's blue collar doesn't mean they're not making a good living. I've dated blue collar guys that have made good living, like better than me. Seriously. And be like, why I stay in school all this time? I could have just been doing this, right? But the stash on the side to me is like, sometimes you gotta be that help me, And you know how we are, how resourceful we are as women. And it's like, okay, I'll put a little something back because I don't know what might come up and we might have go on that we need.
Yeah.
A need or whatever. And I don't know how she meant her stash. Her stash could have been about if something happens and I need to get out of here. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I know that's just how resourceful we are. And I feel like, it's okay. For me, if a man or a woman, because I just think this interview was a woman. Right? But I think it happens across the board. That people decide, oh no, he's not this or she's not that. I'm not gonna, they're not good enough.
Yeah.
But if you're really looking for the right person to make a life with and to live the rest of your life out in a great way, it's just some things we should not, I won't say can, that we should not be concerned with.
Yeah.
I need you to have your own, because she also said that we ain't talking about somebody just sitting up playing video games every day.
She did. And I think, I think there are probably millions of women, that probably would have responded the same way that Ebony did. Well, yeah, if he owns the bus. And I think that's because we have been taught or told that we are to be taken care of.
Because of how society
is. Yes.
And think about the high divorce rates, like relationships are, like really, we're dating online now. Like there's just that relationships, the whole concept and characterization, everything's just at an all-time low.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's another reason why you just gotta open yourself up for
The possibilities.
possibilities.
Because I think what we mistakenly do is we've got these like very narrow, very rigid criteria, and unintentionally we have probably X'd out 90% of men.
Well, and then what about this concept too? And this might be something we could talk about after the break, but when a lot of times when women do, educated women get involved with collar working guys, they struggle with allowing him to be the lead in the relationship. Now, it's one thing if he can't. It's another thing if you or we are so controlling.
Yeah.
Don't allow him to.
Right. And then you're mad because like that's one of the things that I had on my list was a man that would like take charge and take care of me, and then you maybe get one, but then you don't allow that to be the case.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I think it's difficult if let's use myself. I am considered the quote unquote strong Black woman, kind of I've been in the single parent realm, I've been in leadership roles and work and all of that. And I've been pretty much telling my children what to do, telling other people what to do on the job and all of that. And then, I come home and I'm still telling folks what to do because I'm in the house. And then I've done that for all these years. And then now I'm supposed to relinquish all of that to someone.
Like a light switch that you just flip on and off.
And Lord knows I want to relinquish that. I think it's just that, muscle memory, right? You have to be intentional and you really have to practice it. And we've talked about this many, many times on our girl talk and guy talk shows when we talk about submission. God wasn't talking about no knucklehead.
Right.
So it shouldn't be that difficult to do unless you are just a controlling person. And you have to be honest when you find yourself not relinquishing. You have to step back and say, hey, all right, take a minute, process it, and do, you know what I'm saying? And change that behavior.
Yes.
And move on. And I guess in this instance, I would have to have somebody really understanding of that because I've always had to take care of the bills, the house.
Right.
Everything. I wasn't out there necessarily cutting the grass, but I had to get somebody to cut it. Did everything.
Yeah. And it's an adjustment to go from that to something completely different.
Because trust is a huge, huge part of that. Like, I don't want to build up something and then only for somebody else to, to relinquish it to someone that's not going to have the same level of care and concern about. Right. And it's just, okay, you told me twice we're at a break. We're at a break, guys. See you on the other side of this break on 94.7 FM. We'll be back in a moment.
And we're back. Thanks for hanging out with us today. We are talking about the very viral video of Ebony Williams and Miss Iyanla Van Zandt. And so she had asked Ebony, who is she's an attorney, and then she's like a TV personality. I think she was also cast on one of the Real Housewives of maybe New York City. But she had asked her if she would date a bus driver. And Miss Ebony's response has garnered all kinds of criticism because she essentially said, only if he owns the bus. And so we've been talking about that today, like the standards that we have as women, and if they are, helpful, or if they are hindering us from finding, a good relationship. Because everybody says, I want a good man, but there really are these other stipulations that are attached to it that sometimes we aren't vocal about, but Miss Ebony was very vocal about, and she's getting all the backlash for it.
Yeah.
So, I remember when, growing up, my dad would say, to me and my sister, he would say, you don't bring home no bums.
Yeah.
Now that I'm an adult, I really wonder, like, what exactly did he mean by that? Like, did he mean, don't bring someone home who doesn't work? Or did he mean don't bring someone home who can't take care of you? Or did he mean don't bring someone home who doesn't make a ton of money? I'm not really sure now.
So I don't know, but I just feel like because of the era in which your dad, I just think he means a man that's not that don't bring home a man that's irresponsible.
Yes. Yeah.
Pretty much. I mean, that simplifies it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And don't bring home one that doesn't treat you well. All of the things that a young one spoke of, right? Treat you well.
Yep.
I think that's really because I think from your dad's era, he could be, a thousandaire, a millionaire. He could have money. He could have a great career. But if he mistreats you, he's a bum.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. And that makes a whole lot of sense. Yeah, I think so too. And I wonder though, because when I was growing up, I thought it was about money. I thought that's what he meant. And as I, have matured and grown a bit, I now understand it differently. But I wonder if a lot of us maybe were told that and never quite altered our understanding of whatever our dads were telling us.
Have you ever dated a guy though that he was blue collar? And he, not you, he was the one feeling some type of way about the education versus non-education. Because see, I've dated a guy that's blue collar, very well spoken, carry, you know what I'm saying, and all of that. And I've dated guys that are blue collar that may not feel like, not me, they may not feel like they fit into certain parts of my life. And I didn't ever know how to affirm them
right
in those areas. So then there's that.
Yeah.
Because if I'm willing to just treat you equally, or like, you know what I mean when I say equally, or not make you feel some kind of way because I have a degree and you work at the post office or drive the bus, then you got to be open to accepting that we may have taken different career paths, but we can still be compatible in life. You gotta be willing to accept that. I cannot drill that into somebody. They have to have that mindset themselves. I hope I'm making sense.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, then no matter what you do, they're gonna always feel
some kind of way.
Or some kind of way.
Yeah.
On May 4th, it's crazy. As recent as May 4th, the National Review posted an article about this very topic. It was "Dear Educated Women" is the title of it. Blue collar men can earn great livings. That's the name of the article. And let me just start with the title. They absolutely can. Like I said, there are some that were making more money than me with 4 degrees. I've known. It says the U.S. economy is aching for many more highly skilled, technically trained people. But what if men end up limiting their eventual marriage prospects if they pursue careers in the trades or other jobs that don't require a 4-year degree?
Mhm.
Some proportion of women who have bachelor's and post-baccalaureate degrees avoid romantic involvements with such guys, holding out for those bachelor's and master's and JDs and other doctorates, which is to say they seek potential husbands who have degrees that are more generally esteemed than those earned in a year or two. Same with the kinds of training acquired via apprenticeships or the armed forces. This is a vital matter because young men who enjoy working with their hands might choose not to pursue careers in construction and manufacturing, among other fields, for fear that women will dismiss them
Mm.
out of hand as life partners.
Wow. I can see that being a real fear because, I've watched okay, so it's social media that has really heightened this for us, I think. There's all of these clips and videos of women discussing like what they want in a man. And it is almost never what Ayanla described, right? We don't start with that. We don't start with, I want a man that's good to me. I want a man that's good to his mom. I want a man that is genuine. We don't start there. We start with the financial part. I want a man that, can take care of me or makes a lot of money, right? And so I get how that puts men in a predicament where they're like, well, then I guess in order to find a woman, I'm going to need to make a lot of money because that's what they're all saying that they want, or I'm going to need to be able to financially take care of them because that's what they're all saying they want. And I can see that being a concern, and then
But there
dropping
are
into
also,
certain fields.
But there are also blue collar men that do make good livings, as I said earlier, but they think that somehow or another, they think money is what is the driving force behind a relationship. There are wealthy men that think that,
Mm-hmm.
and there are men that just make good livings financially that think that that being able to say that they can financially take care of you is good enough, and it's not.
Right. Yeah, of course not. That is like, someone.
They don't know how to focus and hone in on the other things that are probably most important. You think about it. It's so many women now. There's a vast majority of women in the world that have gone out, got these degrees and making good livings for themselves and their children by themselves. So money ain't really what they're looking for.
Right.
And we're talking about degree to degree. But a degree don't necessarily equate to money, is all I'm saying.
Right. It does not.
So, I mean, they may be looking for somebody, on the same playing field, having a degree or whatever, but money ain't necessarily what every woman.
Yeah. I was listening to this I think it was the Breakfast Club with Charlemagne, and he made a really good point about blue collar workers, men or women, and that we in society like deem them not as desirable or not as,
Intelligent,
yes.
it's crazy.
And these are the people he was saying that like literally make the world go round. Like if
They
there
do.
were no construction workers or no first responders or no cross country tractor trailer drivers, like literally our economy would stop.
It would stop.
But we don't give these people, men or women, the amount of credit that they deserve because they don't, they don't make what doctors make or what lawyers make or but literally our lives would have to come to a halt if all of these people just up and decided to quit their job.
Now, this might not be something people want to hear from me, but I'm gonna tell the truth. If I meet a guy and something, we get into a discussion about education or whatever, and I say what my education level is, and he responds with, "Oh, well, I'm just letting you know now. I ain't go to college, and I was just letting you know now. I'm done. I am, because that whole attitude towards it, because I've met people, guys, that'll be like, oh, so I know you Dr. Shaw, and you know, and it's said with such
Like
disgust.
disdain. Yeah.
And I was just like, no, that's not the person for me.
Like, because it
If I
feels like
meet
they're
you
gonna.
and we share whatever, we should just be open to, like, I would applaud a guy for whatever he does. If he told me he owns his business, I always say hats off. Man, I wish I had the courage to do that. You
Yeah.
know, if he tells me, you know, he works, like I said, at the post office, he's been there. Oh, I'm in my 30th year. I'm like, oh wow,
Yeah.
amazing.
Right. Right. What is it about that that bothers you? Is it because it feels like they would be
I feel like already he's gonna have an issue. Like
uh
it sends that, it's a red flag for me
okay.
that already you see us as different
Uh-huh.
when we're really not. I don't, you do.
Right. Right.
And I'm just done. At that point, I don't want all that negativity in my life. Sorry.
Yeah. Wow.
Sorry, not sorry.
Right. Yeah. One of the other things that Ayama said in that video was the criteria that we have keeps us imbalanced, she said. And I remember years ago, I don't know what this was on, maybe one of those like talk shows, but there was a woman who literally filled an entire notebook with all of her requirements for a man. I mean, she had like thousands of them. She had sat and like really thought into detail
How
about.
did she even remember what she had put, 2 weeks ago? Oh
I have
my.
no idea. But it was down to like, the color socks that he wears or the, type of tie. I mean, it was so ridiculously thought out that like she's probably one of those women who has eliminated every single man on the planet in those standards that she has. I mean, there might have been one or two men in the entire world that fit all of her standards.
She would just have to, as a friend of mine said, get some guy and just build her man based on.
Yeah. But and I don't think that the majority of women go into that great detail of how we want our man to look and be and seem. I think there's got to be something in the middle though, right? I don't think we can't have any standards because that doesn't make sense. And I don't think we can have 1,000 standards because that doesn't make sense either.
But realistically, we're going to have some superficial standards, realistically speaking.
Yeah.
I mean, whether it's, I don't want somebody short, I don't want somebody tall. I don't want, you know what I mean? Those kinds of things or whatever. But I'll be really transparent about this too. I have probably counted out so many really great guys on some superficial stuff.
Like what kind of stuff? What kind of?
Like short.
I can't fault you for that one because I'm
just saying, like, you have a conversation first to just see. Probably some guys that my daddy would have approved of. You know what I'm saying? That good of a guy.
So like what's short to you? Because short to me is my height, which is 5'11". But I know I shouldn't rule out anybody who's 5'11", like you said, without having a conversation with them, without talking to them and seeing what kind of man they are. But
why do I feel like if I saw you with a guy that's 5'11" and y'all were the same height, I mean, just a 6-foot guy, right? If I saw you with a guy that's 6 feet tall, I don't know why that looks cute to me. That looks right because both, just so happens both of you are tall.
Yeah.
Like, if I see a woman that's 5'5" like me with a 5'5" guy, I'd be like, wow, he's probably really, really good to her, and he's probably, and like that could be me if I wasn't so stupid and not,
Yeah, what is the difference if they're both the same height?
I don't know. I just think tall women are nice looking. I think that looks nice too. And so I think when I see tall to tall, that looks nice. People probably listen to this show cracking up or either saying they so dumb. One or the other. We're sorry, y'all.
Right.
We're
Just
just
trying to
talking.
be transparent because I mean, we all have these, standards and these things that we want and things we don't want.
And I'm just making the point that we can really be superficial sometimes. And maybe, we gotta limit that a little bit more.
Mhm.
But we, as in those of us that are really seeking something solid,
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know how much time do we have? Because
About a minute and a half before break.
okay. So this article also says, but do women with more advanced degrees really steer clear of men in the trades and similar fields? Do they really give men with associate degrees or who have pursued apprenticeships or learned jobs in the military so little a chance? Perhaps that's not really the case. While some women with bachelor's and additional degrees avoid marrying down educationally, others will nonetheless do so out of necessity because women overall are earning more degrees of various kinds than men. This is not true only in the United States, but also in much of Europe and elsewhere. So we have to be open because like I said earlier, it's more of us that are out here getting these degrees or whatever. So when it comes to us going, it's already more of us to
Yeah.
me in terms of the ratio.
Yeah.
So when it comes to us looking for the right guy, if it's more of us going into college, getting a secondary education, we have to be a little more open-minded, you
Yeah.
know. I'm gonna tell you, it definitely, and I think we talked about this before, it definitely changes the older you get. Because one of the key things for me right now is a man that loves God.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Yeah.
talking about openly loves God. It's
Yes.
something about that now that says to me, that kind of takes care of so many other things
Yeah. Yeah.
characteristically that I would be hoping for or seeking.
Yeah. For sure. That is a must for me at this point. That's a non-negotiable.
It's not anything I thought about in my 20s though.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe even in my 30s, you know? But certainly now, man, I can just strike off so many other things if I find out right off the cuff,
Mm-hmm.
he loves God. All right, we're going to break. We will be right back on Dr. the Doctor in the chat room on 94.7 FM in just a moment.
We're back. Thanks for sticking around through the break. We are talking about Miss Ebony K. Williams and her comments about whether she would date a bus driver. This went viral over the week. And after she made that comment to Ayanla Van Zant, she got a lot of criticism. And then a couple days later, she came back and kind of responded about that response. So let's listen to what she had to say.
I only saw a handful that even considered the possibility of a bus owner being a more aspirational position. Now, I suspect that some of y'all are the same men that were bringing home C's and D's on your report cards, only to then be coddled by parents that said, well, that's okay, as long as you're doing your best. Well, listen, I love and believe in the excellence of Black men. So no, my dear, C's and D's or any other form of mediocrity is not okay. But could it be that Black America has been sold a narrative of average, regular, and typical being good enough for us? Well, see, that's called white supremacy. No, average is not and will never be good enough for me. And the gag is, I don't think it's good enough for you either.
Wow.
So there you have it. Yeah.
Like, wow, wow, wow. I mean,
Yeah.
we've been sold the narrative, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
And maybe in some instances we have been sold narratives, right? Not that we've all bought into them, but
right.
you know, I just don't know what that has to do with.
Yes.
And like you said off air, I certainly don't know what C's and D's has to do with being a bus driver.
I don't don't either. I think honestly, she was a bit embarrassed about what she said.
How people responded to
Yes,
Ayanla's
yes,
right to
yes.
her. Uh-huh.
And because, like, to me, when I listen to that, she's conflating a bunch of different things, like, you know, bus drivers being, or people being upset with this are the same men who got C's and D's and were told that, you know, doing your best is all you need to do. And so somehow you ended up a bus driver, as if that's a negative thing. And then that led to, you know, the ideology of white supremacy. Like,
White supremacy was like, it took me clean out.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So for me, that rebuttal,
Mm-hmm.
see, prior to me knowing of that rebuttal,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I even said to you, I wouldn't be the person that would say, no, I would never date
Mm-hmm.
bus driver. But I'm not mad at a woman that has her certain standards if that's what she, you know how I broke that down to you. I wasn't gonna be mad about. But now, no,
Yeah.
no, ma'am.
Yeah.
I do not go with you at all.
Yeah. And she just doubled down on it. I think she was embarrassed. I think she was caught off guard initially about the question. And she didn't answer it in a way that made her look very good. And she had the opportunity to kind of walk it back, or at least re-explain, or, you know, add some type of additional information that maybe we missed, but
Mhm.
she didn't do that. She went way in left field. And I, you know, it made me really kind of think about my ideas of who I would and wouldn't date. Um, and it made me kind of reconsider some things, right?
Mhm.
Like
Good.
I I guess, you know, I can be transparent and say I have, you know, had a relationship where, you know, the man made a lot of money, but there was not a lot of love, and there was not a lot of cherishing and adoration and respect. And
Mhm.
I, now knowing that
Mhm.
experience,
Mhm.
yes, I would date a bus driver if he
Mhm.
respected me and adored me and,
Mhm.
you know, considered me. And yes, I would absolutely take that over someone who just makes a lot of money, which is what I think Ebony K. Williams is saying she's looking for.
Yeah.
I would absolutely take that over money at this point in my life.
Because she didn't have a problem with the bus thing. She just needs him to own it.
Right, right. Which
So
says,
she's not even saying that she needs somebody with a degree.
right.
She's just saying if driving buses is involved, you need to own it.
Yep. Yep.
And that's pretty strong.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a very hard
And
stance.
Ebony probably don't. Well, you know what? It's somebody that will listen to that. It's some man that will listen to that and go like,
Mhm.
I got you, Ebony. So
Mhm.
kudos to you, Ebony. Good luck, girl.
Yeah. Either that or she has been written
I was
off by
about,
all men.
yeah, she'll be written off, but I really don't think so because you know how they say it's somebody for
Yeah.
everybody. You know
Yeah.
what? That
Yeah.
is not a lot. Like some man will hear that. Some man that owns the bus company will hear that and say, "I got you, Ebony.
But that makes me
I'm
wonder.
gone, girl." I want to say to my Michael Jackson boy. Come on.
It makes me wonder from a man's perspective. Okay, if you set out to find a man that makes money, if that's the first thing on your criteria, and I as a man can fulfill that, it kind of makes me wonder if that man will also feel like you are only here for that. You weren't necessarily looking for me, you were looking for a man that makes a lot of money. I
But
just
here's the
happen to do
deal. There are so many people, not necessarily just male or female, that aren't looking for things that are about matters of the heart. They
mm,
want um,
stability or
companionship, a
uh,
facade. Um, you know,
yeah.
I've known men that are big in the community, in
Mhm.
community eyes, right? Like
Mhm.
they're highlighted in the community and they just want a certain type of woman on their arms.
Oh,
They go to
yeah.
certain events and that's what matters. They don't care what happens after, like
Right.
they don't even need to talk to you behind closed doors. They don't even
Right.
need to, have any of that. All of those things that we talk about with love languages and all of
Mhm.
that, they forget that. Just make me look good.
Get some arm candy.
Give me some arm candy. So
Yeah.
when I back to what I said, it's somebody for
Yeah.
every.
If that's what you're looking for, more power to you.
So we talk about these relationships all the time, and we act like we created the blueprint and for what good relationships should look like. Good relationships look different based on what people really want.
Yeah.
If you really want arm candy and you find somebody that's willing to just do that and they don't need the rest, that's a good relationship for you. Let's be real about it.
Mm-hmm.
It
But
might
if
not
you're
be a
looking
good
for love,
relationship in our eyes,
right,
but it is in theirs.
right. To each his own.
To each his own.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, I need somebody that loves the Lord that can pray. I'm talking about them good fervent prayers that don't mind just stopping in a moment and praying for me and us. And I want to wake up somebody praying over me.
Mm-hmm.
For
Yeah.
real.
Yeah.
So you can't do that then. No.
Yeah. I get it. And I think that probably will determine the type of relationship you get into, those top, few requirements. Like yours is a man that is God-fearing and can pray over me. Where
And a
some
man
other
that's
people,
fun. Like you know me, I like to have fun.
yes.
And I like to just like have crazy fun. Real. Like, and so you can't be so stuck up and holier than thou.
Yeah,
Because you love God doesn't mean you can't have fun.
right, right.
Like
He
I'm gonna
did
be
say
one to
that.
go listen to some live music and I'll literally be on the dance floor and we'll go on there by myself.
Uh-huh.
I'm that person. I don't know, it's really weird. Like I have a need to soak up as much life
Mm-hmm.
as I can. So I'm
Mhm.
gonna do that.
Yeah.
And
And
no
you need
relationship
some-
that I'm in is going to keep me from it.
and you need somebody who matches
That
that.
that same energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so adversely, I guess, if you are looking for somebody and your top three criteria are, he needs to make a lot of money or he needs to, uphold this image, then that's probably the type of relationship you will have, all about money and image.
Yeah. Cause I mean, honestly, when you met guys that make a lot of money or whatever, like they have a lot of times, you would think like a guy that may be making a lot of money because he does own the bus company. Maybe he used to drive for it and now he owns it.
Mm-hmm.
That guy might be a little different. He might want a solid relationship with a woman with all of the things that are the matters of the heart and all that kind of stuff. He might. One that might have been, let's say, born into money, just born a millionaire or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm not saying that those people don't want love. I'm in no way saying that.
Sure. Yeah.
But I'm saying, or one that was born poor and somehow he became a millionaire. I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
and just has access to women, right?
Mm-hmm.
He
Mm-hmm.
might not even be looking for things that are about matters of the heart. He might enjoy the whole being in the limelight of women and having, access to as many as he chooses.
Mm-hmm.
It's just all kinds of different scenarios, is what I'm saying,
Yeah.
that you can come across. But if you're really looking for something worthwhile, we can't, it can't be about, again, I do need a guy to be able to have a livelihood.
Yeah.
I will not lie and say, I don't care if he don't work, as long as he good to me.
Right. Yeah, we can't go that far.
No,
Can't go that far.
I just need him to be able to contribute.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And there's an idea of, building something together that feels, for me, again, at this point, after what I've been through, for me, it is ours because we have built it together, as opposed to I met you with it
Mhm.
and things go wrong, and now all of a sudden, is what's yours is yours and mine is mine. Like, that's not the kind of relationship that I would be looking for. So it feels different, I think, when you grind together or you come together with, you both have your stuff together, you come together, and it's even more abundant because the two of you have done something, collectively.
Mhm.
Yeah. This is an interesting conversation that I think a lot of people are talking about now. And I'm kind of surprised that she didn't have more people like agreeing with her. She's got it's a lot of criticism. It's a lot of people like, you sounded really silly, Ebony. And I'm kind of surprised
Yo,
that
girl.
more people. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not surprised that she got more criticism than not.
Mhm.
I'm not surprised about that because I mean the average person ain't going around like, oh, he drive a bus. I don't want him. He might be working overtime, making $100,000 a year driving that bus.
Right, right.
You don't know. You don't know. Driving a bus probably like being a policeman these days. You
Yeah,
putting your life at risk, dealing with the public. You don't know who
yeah,
getting on and off and all of that. So, girl, yeah, drive that bus,
yeah.
get
Agreed.
money, and treat
And
some
treat
woman.
your mama. Yep.
Yeah, do that, sir. Oh, this was a great conversation. Before we go, Wednesday of this week, I celebrated a birthday, and
Woo.
I just what?
I was gonna say that at the end. You
Okay,
took it
go
from
ahead.
me.
I'm sorry, you do, but I before you say what you gotta say, I
Yes,
just
go
want to
ahead.
say too, because I feel like was so many social media comments,
Mm-hmm.
and there were so many text messages. I worked Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
And I tried really, really hard to keep up
Yeah.
and at least acknowledge everybody. So I wanted the opportunity to just say thank you to everybody. I got some of the most beautiful, encouraging words. I had
Oh,
a poem written that was so beautiful that almost made me cry.
my goodness.
I had music created especially for me.
Wow.
Um, like just absolutely beautiful. I had a beautiful um dinner.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I got gifts, and I'm just appreciative, you
You
know,
felt really celebrated.
and I love birthdays. That's something that a lot of people that are close to me don't even know. I love birthdays.
Mm-hmm.
They probably haven't figured it out because what I do is I care more about making sure that everybody else's birthdays are special.
Mm-hmm.
And, and they probably, because, kind of like the love languages, that may not be, they don't even think about the fact that that might be a thing
Yeah,
for
yeah.
me. But I love birthdays. To me, they are that person's special
Mhm.
day. That's
Yes.
your day. And that's how I see birthdays. So I just wanted to say thank you to everybody because, man, it really did feel special. And I'm sorry if I stole your thunder.
That's okay. That is okay. I was just going to say, happy birthday to one of the, flyest, one of the most, how do you say, like a person with all the wisdom, yes, just a very happy birthday week to you. Thank you for, just being who you are. So,
Thank you for that.
yes.
Thank you for that. And it will be a month of celebration. I
Yes.
always do the entire month. So just so y'all know. So if y'all
Right.
still say happy birthday on May 31st, it is absolutely okay.
Yep.
I give people one break in May, one day of break, and that's Mother's Day. And then come right back to me on my birthday, okay?
On back.
And come back next Saturday, same chat channel, same chat time right here in the chat room here on Dr. to Doctor on 94.7 FM. And we will see you guys then.